before the time I was 11. It started with like in junior school with a skipping round the yard, holding hands and going, I love John Courtney, I love John Courtney. And then it got more and more. And yeah, I had so many boyfriends, you know, last 1 week here, 2 weeks there with another guy, and up until the awful relationship when I was 14, and then I became a Christian. 'Cause after that awful relationship, I thought, well, I never want to touch boys again, or I never want to be close to boys again. I'm horrible, stinky, I don't like them. And then I learned that Christian boys were a bit different than that, and they were very, very nice. And I was like, oh, I like boys again. And so then it was all about, I went from one set of boys to I've got a Christian set of boys, and I can have lots and lots of relationships with these Christian boys. And then there was the Christian boyfriend that went bad, and that wasn't very nice either. And then, Jeff, what happened? Oh, I had this guy, this Christian man who told me that God told me that you were going to marry me. I just became a Christian, so I thought, okay, this is probably normal. God just tells everybody who they're going to marry, and I'm going to marry this guy, which is not the best situation in the world because I don't really fancy him. But maybe Christians aren't supposed to fancy each other anyway. It's all about what's inside, and I'm sure he's really, really nice. I'm sure I will grow to love him. Okay, I'm going to marry you. He took my ring. He took my ring back with him to the States to get it measured and get me an engagement ring. And then I started.
He was a romantic sort.
Yeah, he went back to the States, and I started to panic. I don't like this guy. God, why are you making me marry this guy? I don't like him. It's not going to work. I'm going to have a miserable life, and I guess I could learn to live with it, but I really don't want to, God. So I called a lady that I knew, it was actually Jeff's mum, and she said, what? If you're not in love with this guy, he's not the guy for you. If you don't get the fluttery feelings when you're around him,
fireworks
in your heart, then he's not the man for you. It was just like, you mean it? God didn't tell him, and she was like, God, he may really have felt that God told him. But I'm pretty sure. He was a lovely man. Just not in that way. I was just like, oh, thank you, God, I'm going to marry him.
And you got my mom to break up with him for you.
Did you? Yeah. That's not nice. Lost me again. Okay, so I had a few more relationships after that, because you can't just stay out of relationships. Everybody around me has a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and I don't know how to be by myself. Went on this disastrous date with this boy. He said, I'm going to take him to Cardiff, show you the city lights and all that. So we went down to Cardiff, and we went to Burger King, and
City lights.
And I paid for my own lunch. And then he had this pair of trainers on. It's like, he had his £130 pair of trainers. He took trainers pretty seriously. And I stepped back on him. We were going up the moving stairs. I stepped back on him, and he's like, oh, you stepped on my trainers, you know how much these cost. And I'm like, oh, I can't believe this guy. That one lasted about 4 days. So I was in bed that night, and I thought, God, I don't want to just be doing this boyfriend-girlfriend thing over and over. And I'm not going to do it again until I know, I get a feeling that this is the man I'm going to marry. So I'm not going to do the dating thing. Okay, God, I'm saying that now. I'm not going to date again until I know. And I turned the lights off this time. Settle down to sleep. And I go, I can't do this. God, you have to tell me who I'm going to marry. You have to tell me now. I sat up in bed and I turned the lights on. And I'm reluctant to tell this story because this doesn't happen. I don't think this is the norm.
No, this rarely happens.
It really happens. But I got her, and I got out my photo album from when I'd been in the States. They had a picture of Jeff in there, and it was just like, chink! And it's like, I'm going to marry him. And we'd had, what, like 3 conversations?
Oh, we didn't talk more than that, but not a lot.
We hadn't. But I just felt, I'm going to marry this man. And I started to fall in love with this man who lived thousands of miles away from me.
And then you, she very wisely didn't say anything about it.
I thought, yeah, I could go and say, okay, Jeff, God told me that.
Like
I'm
that
going to marry you, but I'd had this experience. It's like, you just don't say that because.
So she kept her mouth shut. And I
kept
started.
my mouth shut for a long time. It was agony because he took so long to like me back.
I started liking you about 2 months later,
So
a month
long.
later. But it was sort of, that was in November, right? Of some year.
November when I was 16.
What
did
he
Almost
tell him?
17.
Yeah. But it was the following summer. So it was November that she had this experience, and then the following summer is when I fell in love with her. So there you go.
So that was the end of my boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. And when he finally did ask me to be his girlfriend, we were engaged 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We sort of spent about 10 days dating before we actually got engaged.